Obviously, it was a good win the other night at Vanderbilt. I thought our kids played with great toughness on the road, the kind of toughness you got to have to win on the road. Vanderbilt was one of the highest scoring teams in the country. I think they're in the top 10, averaging 85 points a game, and I think we held them to 58. Our defensive numbers, if you go back and look at it, has been really good. I know Austin Peay is one of the leading high-scoring teams in the country. We held them to like 60, whatever it was, and I think they were averaging like 82. But in terms of percentages, for Vanderbilt was shooting well over 50 from the floor and well over 40 from three, and I think they were first in the league in the SEC in terms of their scoring. So I was really pleased with how we defended, number one, and particularly on the road, and that was impressive. Excited about how we did that. Now hopefully that's something we can build on.
Are you doing anything different on defense, or is it just guys figuring out what they're supposed to be doing?
It's the same thing. I think I heard a couple of their comments after the game. They were trying to figure out what we're in half the time, and I think that's part of the deal. We've always had our matchup, and we're playing a lot more man than we did last year. So, when you look at us, sometimes you're just hard to figure out whether you're in man or zone, and because our zone does look like man, and then our man looks like zone. But I thought changing defenses, and then we got more length from the guard standpoint than we've had in the past. When you look out there with Brandon and Reggie, even Lawson's a really good defender, but he's got good size, and Darren with his quickness. I think we got more of a defensive makeup on our team in terms of personnel.
How much of a challenge is Brandon for other teams to deal with? Not just the scoring, the defense, but all the little things that he's willing to do, whatever.
I tell you, he's a unbelievable. You as a coach, you love to have guys like him because he's like a do-all player, but he's also, from a mentality standpoint, he's a whatever it takes guy. So I mean, he can score, but he can, and as you mentioned, he can do a lot of different things on a basketball court to help you win basketball games. And when your best player can do that, it gives a little bit more boost to the other guys to want to do that. Like, I think we've taken a lot of charges this year, and but a lot of that is Brandon's willingness to, your best player's willingness, be first to the floor, and so it's very. It helps the whole team with what Brandon does, and I think he got in foul trouble the other night. He was just very patient. He got in the second half, and he hit 15. So, but his way he scores is a lot of different ways. He can score all three levels. He's got a mid-range game, and he made a three the other night. But he's also a guy you got to keep off the glass, and he can post you up. So he's a chore who you want to put on him.
Coach, tell me about your senior group. I believe they scored like 60% of the offense. Being able to rely on them pretty heavily. Just tell me about the growth that they have.
Well, our senior group is only Martins and Lawson. I don't know how much they're scoring a whole lot right now. I think we would love for Martins to continue to be. I think Martins has been he was a double-figure scorer last year, and there's no question we need him to be more productive. But I think our older guys, we kind of, from a lineup standpoint, you look at Eli was outstanding the other day, coming off the bench, and when you look at Jeriah, Elijah, and Lawson, who we now bring off the bench, those are older guys we bring off the bench, and that gives us good balance. I think we had 30 points off the bench the other night, and that's kind of what I wanted. And stressing that with our team, it's not about who starts, it's about rotations, and it's about who finishes, and those three guys I just mentioned are more than likely all be in the game at the end of the games.
I was just going to ask where you set on a starting lineup, because I know you kind of mixed and matched with who am I thinking of? Jackson and
Karita, and then
mix them, right? Comfortable with doing that the rest of the way?
I'm comfortable where we're at right now in terms of our rotations, and I like to substitute to strength when you look at the rotational guys that like I look at Elijah and Lawson and even Jeriah. They're like starters, but they come off the bench and they will play starter minutes. But I like the way we start with a defensive mentality with Darren and Brandon and those two guys out there together. But we've got a good solid base. We're going to play 10 10 guys every night, I feel like, in terms of the minutes are based on production and how the game's flowing.
Did you know when you recruited Isaiah that you wanted him to play heavily at that point guard position to start the season?
Well, I knew he would be our true point guard, and he's done really well. You know, he had turned the ball over quite a bit, and I think most freshmen, when you play that position, is getting used to the speed of the game. And there are times where they, from a handling the ball standpoint, you don't value possessions in high school like you do in college. And I think he had to grow through that a little bit, and I think you're starting to see him be better at that. The one thing he hasn't done, I know he's capable of, is shot the ball well. He hasn't shot the ball as well as I know he's capable of, and I think that'll come. But his minutes or his growth is very important to our success.
You got, I think, 8 guys now with 20-plus minutes per game.
Mhm.
Right? Do you attribute that to having quality depth? Do you attribute that to trying to build quality depth? Where do you view that?
Good question. I think that I really think we got good depth. And that's something when we started practicing, watching our guys practice, I think there's a consistent competitiveness about this team, which I felt like would give us good depth. And you need those guys to get court time, like a guy like Manny Agbo. I think Manny's gotten better and better each game, and we need his length and his size, and as we progress along in this year. So, but there's no question he's not one of the guys that's playing 20 minutes, but I think his minutes will continue to increase. So. I like the fact that our strength is in our numbers, and I think that's the way I look at our basketball team.
How do you continue this sort of success, this early success, and this next little home stretch you got?
Well, we just got to continue, coach speak, one game at a time. I think this is the next game on our schedule is against a Pine Bluff team. When I watched them against K-State, I mean, they gave Kansas State all they wanted. I mean, it was a 5-point game there in the second half, late in the game. They're very capable. They'll play a lot of zone, and we've got to be able to handle that. So that's our focus right now. And obviously we got a couple more home games before we go back on the road, but our schedule will definitely increase and get better as each game. You look. I don't like to look ahead, but Arkansas State's got a winning record, and you look at Boise obviously has a win over BYU, who beat Houston, and then we go on the road to Arkansas, and I think they're a top 25 team. So it keeps getting better and better.
Most of the football season, Coach Montgomery talked about how strong the American is. Are you seeing the same strength
Yeah.
from the American Conference in basketball as well?
Well, you look across. I mean, Memphis is one of the better teams in the country. I think they're easily one of the more talented teams, obviously, in the country. And I mean, SMU's off to a great start. I think Cincinnati, Houston. I mean, it's a great basketball league. Great coaches. I think I watched Temple the other day, and they're really, really talented. So it's a super tough league, and we'll have multiple teams make the NCAA tournament.
You hit on not looking ahead, but we'll hit on it. I want to hit on it now. You guys, you're not shy with your scheduling. I mean,
Right.
like you're hitting on, you guys got a bunch of important games, big games coming up. Do you do that to help prepare this team for the tough conference stretch, or are you doing that to? What's the thought process behind playing tough games in the non-conference?
Well, it's twofold. Obviously, I think it's important to get yourself ready for the rigors of the conference play. But I think also, if you're in a league that has multiple bids, you want to have a good, strong non-league schedule, and we do. We have you play a road game against two SECs and a Big 12, and you're fortunate enough to win like we did the other night. You definitely increase your chances of postseason play, and but the opportunity to play those games, obviously those games don't hurt you. They're great games for you, and so it is twofold. I think is to prepare for the league play, but also to give yourself a chance to play in postseason.
Any more questions? Coach, your defensive percentage, as you mentioned, is really good. First shot defense is even better,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other side of that, the defensive rebounding is improved. So
Mhm.
speak to that first shot defense, because it's got to be a really low percentage.
Yeah, and and we talked about rebounding, Bruce. That's where we got to get better, and we have. But sometimes when you play the defense, we play that rebound numbers, or you get out of position, so you just got to be more alert and hitting guys in your area, because you're not always playing man to man, so you don't always have a specific man. And I think once we cleared up, our defense has been really, really good, and we've been really on point. And our whole concept is we're in the gaps. We don't want paint touches. We don't want paint points, and we want people to shoot contested twos. And like the other night was that concept because Vanderbilt's a great three-point shooting team. So we wanted to make sure we didn't give them those open threes. And they made some, but they were shooting over 40%, and I think they still shot right at 30% for the game. But, that's important for us to dominate the paint. No paint points for our opponent, but we want to get paint points.
Any truth to the rumor that Big Al's going to replace Bruce up front all game?
Hey, all I wanted to do is that there was a big fuss after the game, and Bruce, your job was on the line, man. Road win, Big Al did the game, and but he wasn't going to talk about it because he didn't want you to get angry with him. Bruce, he's getting angry. Look at him. Big Al called it. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. And meet my friend Billy Kennedy. Billy's former coach of Texas A&M. These are all good people.